I got a plan, John.
You always got a plan, Dutch.
This is a good one.
I don't doubt it.
Alrighty, so a while back I wrote a review on Cyberpunk 2007. It was a complaint more so towards the gameplay itself than the story, but after 50 hours spent on this game, my first impressions and final are left exactly on what I had already known from the first moment a choice was given to me. There are no choices in this game. That being said, it's a decent story. Someone left a comment on my review saying that the best way possible to describe this game is that it's not an open world. It's a theme park on rails where you sit and watch or listen to slow enveloping story guide you through the city. That's far more accurate than I can describe it. And going into this, I was honestly just gonna sit here and shit talk the game. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna sit here and nitpick at things that are missing in this game that shouldn't be missing, because it's not gonna fix the game. And I didn't have huge hopes into this, thinking it would cure cancer or that it would stop COVID-19. You know, I didn't think that. What I thought is this is gonna be a role-playing game, and somewhere along the lines it would be like Fallout, Dragon Age, Witcher 3, Fable, you know, the kind of RPG where you play a certain character but it's handcrafted or the story is centered, but you're the artist molding the story, and as you play and experience the world, it's at your own pace, not at the pace of the rails moving in the theme park. The idea of freedom, creating your character, making choices are there, but it's an illusion from beginning to end, and I'm gonna spoil the game for you in one sentence. Choices do not matter. Every player will get the same 5 endings, be it A, B, C, and so on with secret best ending. That's it. And to add injury to insult, these endings are based on final choice you make in the game. So think Mass Effect 3, green, red, and blue endings, different shade of color, basically the same thing. But I'm making a point here, and my point is the story's actually pretty good. I'd say it's a solid 8 out of 10. If this was a linear experience type of game that didn't advertise as much as it had and didn't stretch itself further than it could. Let me give you an example. Batman Arkham Knight. I put so many hours into this game, console and PC, because I love the story. It's an open world game where you play through a linear story and play. No matter how you play the game, it'll always end the same way. It's not a traditional RPG, but it's categorized as an RPG. If Cyberpunk 2077 had set out to be this and advertised in this way, easily a 9 out of 10. Not talking about bugs, because it's at its current state, with all the bugs and so much missing content that a traditional RPG should have, I cannot see it past 4 out of 10. And even with bugs fixed at its current state, cannot see it past 6 out of 10. But I'm not gonna sit here and talk about what could have been, because this is the final result that we got. And maybe there will be updates that will add some of these features, and I want to talk about, is this worth playing? Honestly, yes, but not at its current state. And I want to talk more about what they should add and what should be added, implemented in the future that will make this a traditional RPG. And I'm not just going to sit here and say, the game sucks because it doesn't have this and this and this. I want to say the game could be better if it had this, this, and this. And I've heard a lot of people say it's not supposed to be like GTA open world, but it's also not supposed to be like Fallout open world. Well, which is it, fucko? Because this isn't a new genre of video games that we just discovered. It's clearly has to be one or the other. It's either an RPG like Fallout, or it's an open world action game like GTA. It can't be neither and be a whole new thing. It's not gonna happen. So I consider myself a huge gamer. I grew up playing so many games, most being MMOs, and character creation along with customization is a huge feature that I think this game should improve on, For starters, when shopping for new clothes, add a feature where we can see what we look like or what clothes look like instead of having to equip each piece one by one, because that's time consuming. Another thing is add like tattoo parlors or some kind of surgery parlor so you can change what your character looks like in the game, and instead of making your character and that's it, you'll never get to change it from then on. It's ridiculous that this isn't there. Another thing to add would be collision with NPCs. I don't care for NPC interaction. I mean, it sucks that they'll never fight back, but at least some kind of physical contact to show friction in the game instead of phasing through them or having them literally disappear. Having hunger and sleep needs, and including animations into that show your character eating, like being able to go at a bar and sit there, because you're currently not able to sit at a stool unless it's story driven. And just being able to sit at a bar whenever you want, go to a restaurant. I know there are a lot of restaurants early in the game. They show Jackie sitting at a restaurant and just being able to eat. Have some animations for that, and have your character needs more choices in future DLC instead of one path with multiple ways of just saying yes. Allow us to say no. Allow us to be the character. I know the story from here on can't be changed and it'll always be the same, but there's so many times where the game stops at a halt unless you press the quick time event or press the current button needed. You'll just be stuck there. And at those times where you miss that quick time event, if you did miss it or you picked the wrong option, your game ends. You get a literal game end screen because you didn't choose the right option. That's not an RPG. By no means is that an RPG. And that's about it. I know there's so many more ways you guys can improve the game and things you can do, but at its current state, it's, aside from the bugs, it's not that good of a game. The story is great, but the game as a whole, it's not that good. It's very par. Like I said, given this, if it was a linear game, a linear story game, it would have been amazing. It would have been great. But you put expectations of this being an RPG where you can create your own character, you can have your own choices, and you can do all these multiple things as your character, and they're not there. And I don't think they'll ever be there, and if they ever are included, then be glad. And for anybody who plays the game in the future, then I'll be glad for them, because they'll get to experience a game that I do not care to experience anymore. I've reached the end, and it just is.